So hopefully I'm recording, and hopefully you can hear me because I got the air conditioning on. But tried to record the Bible study on Tuesday, and I'm cheap. My camera didn't last. It went out about halfway through. Bishop and Peaches and some of them were telling me, "Hey, the camera didn't went out. The light went off. It's dead." So I have to invest in another one at some point. But I'm gonna try this now with my phone, and it should be pretty quick. I'm just gonna hit 2 points. But I want to talk a little bit about biblical prophecy. And if you were in Bible study, we went over it once already. But I'm not talking about prophesying. I'm talking about biblical prophecy. These things that are already laid out. And we're just going to go over just 2 points today. And the first one, jump right in. 2 Peter chapter 3, starting at verse 3, going through 8, it says, "Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lust, and saying, Where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. For this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of God the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. But, beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day." All right, and so we'll start right there. First off, what does that mean? 1,000 years with the Lord is as one day. We know that the Lord is eternal, and so 1,000 years being one day is a long time, but it's still time. And if you're eternal, that means you're outside of time, and so it's still, there's a day with the Lord is not 1,000 years. I'm not going against the word. I think we just need to get deeper in it and get an understanding. A day with the Lord being 1,000 years, that would mean a year of ours is 365 days. So 365 times 1,000 is 365,000 would be a year for him. That's a person that's aging very, very slowly, extremely slowly, but they are aging, and we know that God is not aging. He is not in time, as I said before. He is in eternity, is outside of time. And I've explained this in classes before. The angel Gabriel, he has visited in the Old Testament. He visited Daniel. In the New Testament, he visited Mary. The Gabriel that visited Mary was no older than the Gabriel that visited Daniel, even though many years had gone by, because the angels are in eternity as well. He did not age, and he's not going to age. It doesn't matter how long it takes. And even wicked ones that are not with God, the devil, not giving him any credit, but he's not aging. The demons are not aging. People that die are not aging, no matter if they went up or down, they're not aging. And so a day being 1,000 years is still not really making sense to God. But what is he talking about? What he's talking about is the way that God deals with man. He's put man on a clock. Peter was talking about prophecy, and he's saying these people say things ain't going to happen. They don't understand God's timing. And they say, well, it's been going on the same way since the past. No, you don't understand God's timing. And to get a better understanding, we'll go to Genesis chapter 6. I already got it here. It says, "And it came to pass," starting in verse 1, "It came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, For that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Now, when you look at that, again, not going against the Bible, but as far going from Genesis to Revelations, I don't have this thing completely memorized, but the only one I can see that lived exactly 120 years is Moses. And even then, it's because God took his life, you know what I mean? Because he hit that rock. He would have lived longer. But people have lived a lot shorter times than that. People have lived a lot longer times than that. So it's not definite that a man is going to live 120 years. And in this day and age, you would be very odd to make it 120 years. You can, and people have, but you would be odd. But what I have heard, it said that Jewish scholars have said is that what God was talking about are Jubilee years. And if you study the Jubilee, you know that's every 50 years. And so God is saying it's going to be 120 Jubilee years, right? And if you do the math, 120 times 50 is 6,000. And so what I believe is saying is that God is saying you're going to have 6,000 years. You know, I'm giving you 6,000 years. And I know that sounds strange. It may be a doctrine that you've never heard before. And I'm going to try to prove it. But so then we go to Revelations chapter 20. Get my glasses out here. Revelations chapter 20. Starting at verse 1. I could probably read the whole chapter, but we'll just stick with verse 1. It says, "And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil, and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that he must be loosed a little season. And I saw thrones, and they that sat on them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus, and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years." And we have, people have, you've probably heard it, that time frame referred to as 1,000 years of peace. 1,000-year reign, 1,000 years of peace, whatever you want to call it. But if a day with the Lord is 1,000 years, then think about it. Okay, he said, my spirit shall not always strive with man. My spirit shall not always struggle and have to work with man. And so those 6,000 years, if I'm correct, that they gave us would be those 6 days. And at the end of it, right on time, the book of Revelation says there's going to be 1,000-year reign of peace, meaning a Sabbath. And to see what I'm talking about there, Genesis chapter 2. I'm jumping around a lot, but a lot of times if you get enough scriptures, the word will kind of like speak for itself. And you won't have to do all this pulling and tugging on it. If you're pulling and tugging too much, sometimes you might have to rethink things. Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. Where am I at here? All right. "Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made." So he made the earth in a week, well, in 6 days. On the seventh day he rested. And that's how he deals with man. That is the way he deals with man. He'll struggle, you know what I'm saying? He'll give you 6 days. There's going to be a rest on that seventh day. The righteous that are with God are going to rest with him. Speaking of the next week, or the next 7 that we talk about, which is the 6,000 years. and then the rest on that seventh day, or that last set of 1,000. All right, and I believe this is just how God works with man. And even when you study numerology, which I'm not no expert at it by any stretch of the imagination, but we know that 6 is the number of man. So he made man on the 6th day, and he completed his work on the 6th day. The work that he was going to put man in charge of on the earth rested on the 7th. Man started acting up, obviously because the devil came and he fell in the garden and all that good stuff, bad stuff, I should say. And then he says, I'm not going to keep on struggling. I'm not going to keep on striving with man. I'm going to give you 6 days to get your act together. 6,000 years, according to Peter, and rest on the 7th again. All right? I believe that Peter even alluded to this in the word that he said. Where are we at? 2 Peter chapter 3. And we read that, and just in the middle of what we read verses 3 through 8, just in the middle of that, starting at verse 5, it says, well, let's read the whole thing again, or the beginning of it. Verse 3, it says, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lust meaning they're scoffing at this, some of it because they're ignorant, but some of it because they just don't want to believe it because they want to stay in their sin. It makes it easier for them to sin when you say the Bible ain't real. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic, but verse 4 says, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. Verse 5, this is Peter talking. He says, for this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of God the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. Now, if you understand, I didn't go into all of it. I just read a few verses of Genesis chapter 6. That's what kicked it off, the flood, that God would tell Noah about this very thing that Peter is talking about. So Peter is alluding to that, to these 120 years, or 120 Jubilee years, is saying it's going to be 6,000 years. And just to even throw a little more fuel on the fire, just reading a lot of Middle Eastern scholars, both Hebrew and Arabic, Hebrew and Muslim, I should say, believe that Adam was created somewhere in that 4,000 BC time frame. Some say slightly before, some say slightly after. Either way, if that be correct, we are very near that 6,000 year mark where something got to give, because God's not going to keep on playing. All right? That's point number 1. And even on that, one thing I say, listen, this is not a heaven or hell issue. This is more of an enjoyable Bible study. We didn't go real deep or anything. This is just something people just enjoy going into prophecy. This is not a heaven or hell issue. If you really got a problem with this, hey, it's all right. This is not going to stop you from being saved. I believe it to be true. I believe the scriptures is saying that it's true. You may have something different. And I don't mind being enlightened if you find something. But as of right now, what I see is that this is the way that it is. If you agree or disagree, it's not a major thing. I wouldn't be hard pressed to make somebody believe this, as I would to tell you need to receive Jesus, and all roads don't lead to heaven. You can't just be any religion and make it to heaven. That one is something worth some pull and tug. This here, I believe it, and I believe it will enhance your knowledge of God. But again, I'm not going to get heated over it. We can talk about it. I wouldn't get heated over it. Okay, so that's point number 1. Point number 2, if we could go to Revelations, if we could, I'm acting like there's people in here. I'm by myself. Anyway, Revelations chapter 9. All right, Revelations chapter 9 and verse 1, and they picked up on this when we were. I asked them to think about this, and they picked up on this when we were in class. Anyway, chapter 9, starting at verse 1, it says, "And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. Okay, the first thing that I would draw attention to, we read Revelations chapter 20, part of it, and we just read Revelations chapter 9, a piece of it. Both of these chapters in Revelations, we can contrast. Verse 1, it says in Revelations chapter 20, "And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand." Revelation chapter 9, verse 1, it says, "And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him it was given the key of the bottomless pit." Okay, and so in both of the, we know that a star, the Bible sometimes is talking about an angel. You know, even here we see that the star fell and it said he. But in both of these, we see there are powerful angels that had something to do with the bottomless pit. One opened it and one closed it. But the difference is, in chapter 9, verse 1, this angel fell from heaven. In chapter 20, verse 1, this angel came down. He just, willingly came down. There's a difference. And the angel in chapter 20 closed the pit. The angel in chapter 9 that fell, he opened the pit and let all this mess out, right? So there's a difference right there. These are two different angels, and I would assume that the one in chapter 9 is the devil. Because we do know that he is an angel that fell. He's not the only angel that fell. We do know that he's an angel that fell. We would assume it's the devil. And in chapter 20, this strong angel that came down, he chained up the devil, all right? So that's the first thing I'd bring your attention to. Next thing, Ray off the subject here, but we can talk a little bit about CERN. All right, talk a little bit about CERN, right? And CERN, for those who don't know, the Large Hadron Collider, right? And their scientists are trying to, I believe, find this key. The key to the bottomless pit. They may not know exactly what they are doing, but that's what they're doing. They're trying to use a combination of technology and science and the occult. And I believe the enemy is helping them, so to speak. And you could talk on and on and on about this. I'm going to try to cut it. But the technology. These people are cutting edge. These are the same people. It blew my mind when I looked at some of this stuff, trying to study it for myself. these are the same people that invented the World Wide Web, among other things. So they're cutting edge when it comes to technology. And so they have this huge machine, maybe the biggest machine on the planet. It stretches for miles, and it's capable of having particles, subatomic particles, move at super speeds around it till they get to a place where they will collide with each other, right? And that's the tech. That's what they have. The science of it, these particles that collide, they're colliding, they get them going so fast, it is close to the speed of light. I don't think there's anything that man has ever done that has quite reached the speed of light, but apparently this is close to it, and it collides so powerfully that it can somewhat duplicate what scientists believe is the Big Bang, the aftermath of it, right after, the immediately following the Big Bang, right? And so when they do that, what they're really looking for is these subatomic particles called the Higgs boson. I'm not a scientist, forgive me if I mess some of this up, but it's basically what's going on. This Higgs boson, they call it the God particle. It's in all matter. It's stringing together all matter. It's a connector type of thing, and it's in everything. And so they've been studying this thing, and they have found that it can literally disappear and reappear. Not disappear as in camouflage or become invisible or hide itself or something like that. Literally leave this dimension. It can go into different dimensions. And once they figured that out, then they thought to themselves, I guess, well, they want to communicate with this other dimension. And we know that dimension to be the spirit world. They are thinking along the lines of maybe another universe or a different reality or different things like that, which I guess the reality would be slightly different, but it is a demonic area. They're literally this dimension they're talking about, they're going to mess around and open up the bottomless pit, right? And again, I'm not even going to go deep into it. People can talk about this one subject for an hour, but that's basically the science of it. Talk about the tech, talk about the science, and I'm cutting these real short. The occult. Okay, they have done rituals. People are doing rituals on that land, on the property, on CERN's property. You're supposed to be some scientists that don't believe in all this supernatural stuff. They're supposed to be atheists and all that. I don't think so. They claim that, but in reality, they believe in some supernatural stuff, because you wouldn't do all these weird rituals. And you can Google, you can look at the opening ceremony to where they, I guess, christened it or whatever you call it, when you just open it, when they first started CERN off. This is like some demonic stuff. This is some real satanic stuff. They were doing all these weird dances with the robes on, and a giant goat-headed figure comes out of a portal, and they begin to worship it and all this stuff, and they're doing like sex acts and all kind of stuff. I mean, it's just satanic. You can Google it and see if you just want to see it, but it's definitely satanic. Remember in Revelations chapter 9, he opened the bottomless pit, and in verse 11 it says, and they had a king over them. These demons, this army of giant locust, scorpion, lion, whatever they are, something straight out of hell. There's stuff in hell that's beyond any horror flick that you don't want to see. But these things, they have a king over them. It says in verse 11, and they had a Revelation chapter 9 verse 11 says, and they have a king over them, had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. Apollyon is strangely similar to the name Apollo. Why is CERN built over the ruins of the temple of Apollo, of one of the temples of Apollo. Why would you do that? You're some kind of scientist. You don't believe in that stuff. You say you don't believe in that stuff. What would it do for you? Was that the only place you could put it? Billions. This is an international thing. No one country lays claim to CERN. This is an international thing. You had billions of dollars. You had your pick of where you wanted to put it. You could put it anywhere. And so when you have your pick of where you want to put it, then wherever you want to put it, wherever you end up putting it is where you wanted to put it for a reason. If you didn't have a choice and you were, it was just one nation and it was a small nation, something like you're in, Belgium, Lithuania or something, and hey man, you have it's got to be there. It's only so many places you can put it, but it's international. You could have put it anywhere you wanted to put it. Why did you put it there? You chose there because you wanted to put it there. Not only that, these words, Abaddon in the Hebrew, Apollyon in the Greek, both of these words mean the destroyer. Okay? This is the angel of the bottomless pit. Apollo is the angel of the bottomless pit, the destroyer. One of their main symbols in front of CERN is a giant statue of the Hindu god Shiva. Okay, now who is Shiva in the Hindu religion? Shiva is the god of destruction. Okay, basically you're looking at the Hindu Apollo. The Hindu version of Abaddon. He is that one, and his symbol is there. We know for a fact, if you study religions, that some of these people are the same person. It's much easier to see with Greek and Roman. It's like a one for one. Like Zeus is Jupiter, and Mars is forget his name. I think it starts with an A. Something to do with I forget his name. The god of war. Aries. Mars is Aries, the god of war. They're not even, the Romans didn't even fake like they was trying to come up with something different. They are the same god, they just gave them their name. Okay, but I believe in all ancient religions, a lot of these gods are really the same one, just for other people, right? And I'm thinking Shiva is Apollo. And so Shiva, and they'll say, well, he's not just destruction, he rebuilds also. He destroys, and then he'll rebuild things in the way that he wants it to be, in his own image, right? And so they're looking for this thing to come and destroy and then rebuild. Was that New World Order? New World Order. I don't think I want to even go any further because I may do a part 2. But that's what I have for today. Hopefully I can upload this because, like I said, I'm doing this on my phone. And I'm not real computer literate. So we're going to see how this goes. Maybe you'll see this, maybe you won't. All right, God bless you.